wine, and like I knew the bartenders there, so shots appeared, you know, whether you wanted them or not. And then the next thing you know, I guess I agreed to go on a winter vacation with everybody. And I was like, oh, that happened. And I really didn't know what I was signing up for. But again, like, why not? Like, I'm a creature of habit to some degree, like living in the crazy like event industry that I do. Like, I'm down for anything to kind of like shake up my life.
Did you have like any reservations, or was it like, let's go? It's, you know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just to party with a bunch of people. Let's have some fun.
I mean, to be honest, I thought like afterwards when I really had to make a hard decision, I thought about it for maybe less than an hour. I'm quite impulsive and like I know what I want and like I am just really sure who I am. So I thought about it for like an hour and thought about like, oh, what could go wrong? A lot, but I don't know. I was just like so excited for the opportunity, like to just like relive like my early 20s, I want to say, because I'm in my 30s now. I'm like, when do you really have an opportunity to do this? Like, you don't sometimes. So I was like, I need to do it.
So you didn't really know, so you didn't know anyone in this house before Kyle and Amanda. I mean, it was just Kyle and Amanda, or I mean, you were at the wedding too, but you didn't really know anyone.
Well, I knew, it was funny enough. So earlier that summer, I did an event for Smirnoff, and later on, like in the event, I realized that the host of the Smirnoff event was Paige and Ciara. I was like, oh my God, this is such a small world. And so like knew them loosely, and everyone else like, no, didn't know who they were. So I was just going in blind, hoping for the best.
Wow. Well, look, you weren't the only newbie this season, as they say. We had Jessica and Kory. What were your, like, did having them there help? You know, like, talk to me about Jessica and Kory and your relationship with them.
Well, meeting Kory, I mean, he's like a conundrum. I feel like when you meet him, you're like, what are you wearing? Like, I'm used to like New York style and like just like effortless, cool. And then like this guy rolls up in like what I would expect, like just gave me like Ed Hardy vibes and like, you know, like bleach stained shirts and holes everywhere, like acid holes in his shirts. And I was like, immediately no. But but then like when you get to talk to him and hang out, he's like the most down to earth, cool guy. Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed hanging out with him. I feel like he brought a lot of energy to the house. Reckless energy, I will say. Breaking chairs, throwing wine glasses at the wall, like, whatever. And then, you know, like, hey, Jess was also new. I think there was a little bit, like, a reservation with her only because she was so significantly younger. And, I mean, like, she's, you know, mature for her age maybe. But, like, there's nothing that, like, you know, 10 years can replace like that, you know? So there was a little like disconnect there.
Did Kory give you just like early 2000 vibes with all the acid wash? And
he could be in a boy band.
Seriously. Who was, out of everyone, who was the most welcoming to you, did you feel?
I mean, like Kyle and Amanda, of course, were like the most welcoming, and like Kyle always checked in, Amanda always checked in. Ciara was super endearing and sweet, and so was Luke. Honestly, like everyone was really nice. I even like really enjoyed talking to Craig and Austen, and who else am I forgetting? I don't know, but like everyone was just honestly really nice and down to earth.
Well, someone has to be the least welcoming. Who was the least welcoming, or just, you know, did you find it the hardest to get to know?
I mean, I think it was a little bit difficult to crack Paige just because, like, she's also similar to me. Like, when I'm a little reserved if I don't know someone right away, and that could be taken as maybe, like, they're being standoffish. But, like, no, you're just, like, overstimulated in a house full of crazy people. But, like, as we got to go out and hang out, I was like, this girl's cool. Like, there's nothing bad about her.
I cannot see you being reserved.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like I've been getting that since I was a child. Like they always say I'm like shy or whatever. And then anyone that actually talks to me, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like I have like resting bitch face, but who doesn't these days?
You have a secret introverted side that we don't know about.
I'm an introverted socialite.
I like that. I'm actually more introverted than people think too. Well, listen, we saw, you know, Jessica, like you said, you know, she said, well, Jessica, I guess, said that she had some hard, you know, a hard time getting to know some of the girls. Like she thought Paige was kind of standoffish, and Ciara and Amanda. Like, did you didn't feel that from your point of view?
I mean, like, of course, like being a new person, like entering a house where everyone is like already friends, like that is uncomfortable. But like then again, I'm just like very sure of myself, and I don't need other people's like acceptance or approval to feel any type of way. But like I also just like looked at the situation. I'm like, oh my god, like when things go wrong, like you naturally gravitate towards people that you feel comfortable with or have like chemistry with. And so like when people got into fights, like the girls obviously started talking to people that they feel comfortable with, and wasn't me or Jess at times because we don't know these people. We don't know what happened like last year or 2 years ago or whatever time frame is. So I don't know. I just didn't take it personally.
And it's bound to happen when you're new, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel, I mean, was that like a big factor in the house with Jessica, or it's just because it kind of seemed to blow over pretty quickly?
I mean, it seemed to be a repetitive theme that she continuously felt left out and kind of like catered towards the men for maybe like attention or friendship or whatever you want to call it.
Well, whatever you want to call it. I mean, she ultimately did have a moment or two with Kory. You know, she describes him as, 11 inches, you need 3 hands, and all this other stuff. You know, how do you feel about this match? Are they a good match?
I mean, I think it seems that it's a little bit more one-sided. I think she fell for him very quickly, which is funny because she, like expressed to some other love interest in the house that she wanted to take it slow. And at the end of the day, that saying, you're like, when a guy's like, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship, I don't want a relationship, and then like the next week they're dating somebody, they're like, no, they just didn't want you. And I feel like that's the case. Like, she didn't want to move slow. She wanted somebody else.
Right. She really, I would agree with that. Like, I think everyone wants a relationship.
Yeah,
right?
like anyone that says that, like, you're lying. You're lying.
Well, right. She did move fast with Kory and seems kind of one-sided, and she didn't really seem to want, something with Luke. Speaking of Luke, because, I mean, listen, as a viewer, there was moments like with Jessica and Luke where it was kind of like, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but it was like tense to watch. They had this conversation. Craig got really upset. Was that as tense in the house? Like when they had this talk about like kind of no means no and like learn to read the cues, or was it just like, did you feel that as like a member of the house between Luke and Jessica and all of this?
1,000,000%. It was the most uncomfortable night ever because I'm like sitting, like during that episode, I'm literally sitting in the corner. I'm like, I think I'm eating. I'm just like, what's going on? And like it was so uncomfortable because I didn't like, no one really knew what happened or what triggered this, or we basically just went like 0 to 100 to Craig screaming and Luke packing his stuff and leaving, and we're all like, what? And like Jessica's crying and we're like, what's going on? And like we all still don't know the full story, and I think that will kind of stick between Luke and Jess